Welcome back, everybody.
Yes, AIM Sports Betting
We're
back
back.
here.
Week 4.
Yes, week 4.
What a week 3.
We survived week 3 though.
We did. We did.
So another week is ahead of us.
Yep. We got a couple of dubs there that we'll talk about here in a
Yes.
bit. But it's interesting Thursday night football. We got prime time
Yes.
and lots to talk about there.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get on to week 4, let's close out week 3.
Yeah, let's close out week 3. We had a few games we had for the games of the week. We had 3 really good games that we had.
Yeah.
We had
Spotlight games, actually.
Spotlight games.
Yeah.
We had Philly, New Orleans.
Yep.
Baltimore, Dallas, and then we had Monday night Jacksonville, Buffalo.
Yep.
All 3 games were amazing.
All
Good to
different
watch.
all different windows of games.
All different windows of games too.
Yeah.
So you had a 1 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock game, and then an 8 o'clock game on the Monday.
Yep.
As everybody saw what happened Monday night,
Jeez.
that was a brutal win by Buffalo. They destroyed Jacksonville out there. But we won't start there. We're going to start off with our picks that we had for 1 o'clock. We
Yep.
had Philly versus New Orleans. New Orleans was favored -2.5.
Yes.
Me and my brother Irshad had our own picks. We weren't 100% even on this game. My brother had his team, the Saints, to go to -2.5.
Yep.
As I took Philly +2.5. I'll let my brother let you know what happened in this game.
Yo, man, lots happened, right? Like, first of all, before the game even started, the spreads had swung tremendously.
Back and forth.
Back and forth. Like, Vegas had Philadelphia actually opening the lines as the favorite at -2.5. And then it actually swung a 5-point swing to New Orleans, -2.5. Now, a lot of things, played a role into the call there, right? Like, we had 2 formidable teams, arguably Saints now being in a top 5 contending team, which is interesting. Eagles being a contending team out of the gate. It was hard football, right? It was a low-scoring game, right? 15-12 was the finish because they had that back and forth. But you had, Jalen Hurts and the Eagles leading a very formidable offense with Saquon now. You have Kamara, who went off for 5 TDs across 2 games going into week 3. So there's a lot of, hot streaks coming into this game. Long story short, I mean, I think New Orleans had the game. To be honest, they had it.
They did have it, yeah.
It was that little break in the defensive wall there where Saquon ran for nearly 60 yards in the dying minutes of the game, and that pushed them over. And
that was it.
That was it.
They just didn't know what to do.
And I mean, by that logic, I mean, Philadelphia technically covered the original spread. Vegas came at -2.5. They covered because they had won by 3.
Yeah.
But coming back to our lines, Allner got it right. He called Philadelphia +2.5, which was the line during, we got it at. And unfortunately, New Orleans couldn't cover because of that break in defense, and that cost them.
Well, hey, Scott Novak had played a factor in it too.
He did.
Scott Novak reffed that game.
did.
As we said before, the home teams, when he refs, are 27, 49, and 3 against the spread. 36% of the chance that they cover.
And now they add another loss to that.
Another loss to that. So we got Philadelphia coming out winning. We also had Gardner Johnson talking a little smack, talking about Derek Carr as their quarterback. So they're pretenders, not contenders. But we'll see about that later in the long run. Hopefully they meet in the NFC final.
That'd be good.
That'd be a really good
That'd be
matchup.
good.
But we're on to game 2. We had Baltimore versus Dallas, which was at 4 o'clock.
And Baltimore was favored -1.
Yes, this game was a roller coaster.
It was.
Baltimore came out swinging. Dallas didn't have no answers for them.
Nope.
And then all of a sudden, Dallas picked up in the second half.
Yeah.
Just Derrick Henry ran all over them, and then all of a sudden Baltimore forgot to play football.
Yeah.
Their defense decided they were just gonna relax, hold their ground and be like, "Oh, we got an easy win." But what happened? Baltimore ended up winning only by 3.
He did. Yep.
Giving Dak Prescott a chance. See all the money that they invested in him. Was he really worth it? He came back a little.
He did. He had the last 2 scoring plays were from Dak.
He did.
Right, and he threw them in.
Yes, he threw them in too. Which also leads us to Thursday Night Football, which he also has to show himself again on Thursday after this loss that we had.
And he can't start cold like he did.
Exactly. My brother and I both took Baltimore -1.
Yep.
They ended up winning by 3.
Perfect.
We both got that right, setting our record for Sunday at 1-1. And now we have our third game, which on Monday we had Jacksonville versus Buffalo.
Yep.
Where Buffalo's favored -5. Now, stats on here with the referee, with Sean Smith saying that he liked the road teams, was against us. A lot of people liked Jacksonville to cover, but all the Bills fans had Bills winning, and the Bills came out swinging.
They did. I mean, Josh Allen had no mercy.
Like
no mercy. Like, it almost came to a point where I feel like low-key they were just running up the score a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you had the first 2 plays, you had a rushing.
Yeah.
And then you had a passing. Cool. Up 14-0. Jackson with the tie, 14-3. Then the next 3 plays were passing TDs from Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Like, by the end of half, this was a complete annihilation of Jacksonville, who, yes, they're winless still, for sure, but Bills just came out swinging and said, hey, listen, we're number one in AFC East, and it's going to remain that way.
Yeah.
And we're going to also be making a hard push for the Super Bowl, and they showed it with that game.
They did. The last time they started off 3-0, they ended up in AFC Championship game.
They did, yeah.
So history does repeat itself. So let's see if they go out there. But yeah, like Irshad said, Buffalo showed no mercy.
They did, yeah.
They came out. Another thing, Peterson in Jacksonville needs to get fired.
God.
The performance that they did on Monday,
so bad.
So brutal. Disrespect to the whole Jacksonville franchise, to the fans. It was just dismantled. They didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But that was on Monday.
And, I want to add, I think it was, looking back into week 2, that was after Tua got concussed, right? They were playing Miami.
Yeah.
I also think there was a lot of speculation that people were anticipating, Buffalo to win.
Yeah.
But only because there was no franchise quarterback with Miami.
But at the same time, Jacksonville also owned them. They were 7-3, I think, against the spread against them too, or outright.
And
so
they came out to prove a point. They're like, you know what? Tua or no Tua, we were coming to win.
Yeah.
And they wanted to show that and say, hey, we won in week 2, and we can sure as hell do it in week 3 with full annihilation against Jacksonville.
Yeah, they just destroyed Jacksonville defense. They did not exist at all, which leads Jacksonville to 0-3. Buffalo ended 3-0, which concludes in our records for games of the week. I myself, owner, am 4-5 in 3 weeks.
Jeez, I'm a hard 2-7 right now here.
It's all right. There's also comeback, redemption. We still got it. Still early in the week, early in the season.
Yes.
We're only 3 weeks in. We got another 16 more to go, plus playoffs and Super Bowl.
Yep, I love it.
It's still early. We're all still learning.
Yep.
We apologize if bets didn't go through, but they're there. Like we say, bet what you can.
That's it.
Which now leads us to fantasy football. For everyone out there that does fantasy, we had a quick fantasy lineup for you guys with the standards of 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a defense, and a kicker.
Yep.
My brother will tell you what we started off with.
I mean, obviously, you have Mr. Triggerfinger himself, Patty Mahomes, as quarterback. He closed out for his standards, a little bit low, but a applaudable 16.4 points.
Yes.
As per ESPN, which leads us to our 2 running backs.
Yes.
Jerome Ford, who got subpar 10 points, and a cool down Kamara at 15.7, which we saw injury was a bit of an issue there. So once again we fell victim to the injury world.
Yeah, it's a cruel world out there.
It's a cruel world, but hey, such as football. Leading us to our wide receivers, which we had the redemption. So we think Jamar Chase, who closed out a nice 29.8 points.
Yep.
So for some of our listeners who picked up Jamar Chase on your daily fantasy or your weekly fantasy, Jamar Chase closed out nicely. Nico Collins had a nice complimentary 12.6. And we have tight end. We had Sam Laporta.
Yep.
Once again, injury. Got the best of us again.
Yes.
Closed out with 5.6. He came back. He left the game, came back, left the game. So we had a little bit of injury back and forth. They're probably going to ice him for the next little bit here. And closing out our defense, we had Seattle that racked up 12 points. So solid outing. And our kicker with Prater from the Cardinals at 9 points. So a total of 111 points. And our goal, owner, is to get them above the
century mark.
That's it. So long as we get 100 points or more, we make sure we got a decent outing here, leading to a roughly 13.9 points per position. We definitely have our high from last week, and our goal is to obviously get higher, but we got above a century marker, so we are.
2 weeks in a row.
That's 2 weeks. 2 weeks in a row, we got you guys above 100 points. Hopefully, you guys are capitalizing on these guys, and securing your bag and enjoying what you guys having a good time and enjoying what you can lose. But it's always nice to win some money.
Of course, all the time. Which leads us to our Survivor.
Yep.
We here at Aim Betting think Survivor's not for us.
That's it.
We tried.
This was a tough season.
It was a tough season. We're going to go back to the drawing board on this.
Yeah.
We're going to be replacing Survivor with something else. We will let you know later on in the show.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned for that. But there'll be no more Survivor. We're just over it. We'll start that next season.
Yeah.
Which also now leads us to our trending bets we had.
Yeah.
My brother and I both had 2 different picks we had.
2 calls.
2 calls. One was his boy Kamara that he had, which he had a really good game, but we saw injury was there.
Yeah.
And then we had Taylor as well too.
Yes.
Who we saw got a touchdown.
So that hit.
That hit. Kamara came off hot. Couldn't find the end zone. But it was a tough game.
It was a tough game. I mean, it was a low scoring, 15-12, right?
Yeah.
It was a back and forth. I think you had, like I said, the smack talk. You had the tough offense actually matched by a tough defense. vice versa. Kamara having those high expectations, and quite frankly, he was more probable to score a touchdown, right, over Taylor. But Kamara just couldn't find the end zone, which is okay. The pay dirt comes and goes, but it's okay. Like we saw, injury got the best of us. But it's okay. On to the next week. We hopefully, hopefully you guys secured Taylor as well. Got the bounce back dub on that one. And, we live and we learn.
We live and learn, and we just move on.
That's it.
So we got week 4 coming up.
Moving on.
Yes, week 4. Thursday Night Football coming up.
Oh.
We got a big divisional matchup here.
Huge game.
Between the Cowboys and the Giants.
Lots to prove here, especially for the Cowboys.
But before we get into that, we're going to state our records we have on Thursday Night Football.
Which is separate.
Separate than Sunday. Thursday Night Football is not kind to my brother for some reason.
Oh, man.
I don't know what's wrong with you and Thursdays. There's something about Thursdays that they just don't gel with you.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think I don't know. I think the last 3 games, I'm 0-3. We'll get it out there.
Yeah.
All right. I know you're 2-1. I think the last 3 weeks, it's always been something interesting. You know what I mean? It's always been like a last-minute touchdown like we saw.
Yes.
In Kansas City Chiefs and Baltimore. Or it's the Miami Dolphins and Buffalo where Tua gets injured.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's always something where they're, something or the other. Or even last week where it was the Jets and Patriots. Right? I mean, Robert Saleh, great game. Happy to see this guy's happy. But it's always something of the likes where, it just doesn't gel. But this week is that week where that first dub comes in.
Yes, it does.
All right. Now, I also think there's a lot because I think Mike McCarthy might be on the chopping block.
Yeah, that's 100%.
Alongside perhaps some of the offensive and defensive coordination on Dallas Cowboys if they go 1-3 against a divisional lineup here.
Are they calling Bill Belichick to come coach them if they lose?
You know what? I wouldn't put it past, but I don't know if Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick have a great relationship. I don't know. I feel like it's a love-hate sometimes.
I guess so.
But all to say, this Thursday Night Football, my brother Ulner and I are actually rolling together with this one.
Are.
With the Dallas at New York Giants, with Dallas favored currently at -6 or -5.5. Sorry.
Yes.
And
depending on the
sports book you guys use, you might see -5.5. You guys see -6. We're going for the dub, so we're calling -5.5. Both of us.
Yes, correct.
For Dallas.
Yeah, even though the Giants are my team, but Dallas owns us.
That's it. Let them know why we think what it is, man.
So Dak Prescott here is amazing against the Giants. Daniel Jones is just miserable on primetime games. At home, he's just ridiculous. He just forgets how to play football.
Yeah.
Like Daniel Jones is 1-13 straight up, and 5-19 against the spread.
5-9.
5-9, sorry, against the spread at 9 times in his career, and 0-6 straight up at home at night.
During prime time, take that in.
Yes, just primetime games, which includes Thursday Night Football,
Sunday
Night Football, and Monday Night Football, which is only 3 slots you have.
Yeah.
So that's just obscure. Then from 2003, Daniel Jones is 1-13 straight up. Let me repeat that: 1-13 straight up, which is a 7% mark, lowest winning percentage amongst all quarterbacks in a minimum 5 starts. I see Daniel Jones just forgetting to play football here.
I agree.
Dak Prescott is out here to prove why he signed the contract he is.
Yeah.
Especially after the last game where CeeDee Lamb also missed a couple of catches too.
He did.
And it wasn't a bad throw from Dak Prescott.
No.
It just CeeDee Lamb wasn't able to secure it. Just mistiming, miscommunication. We both feel that the Cowboys are out for revenge.
Yeah.
They need redemption. They need to come back together.
Yeah.
They need to show why they are America's team.
Yeah.
Because after last week against the Ravens, they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
Against the Saints, they got dismantled by them.
Yeah.
3 weeks in a row where they don't know how to play football and take a loss on a big divisional game here. I don't see Dallas going 1-3.
No.
I think Dallas is out here to prove themselves.
I agree. I think Jerry Jones might be making some calls if Dallas loses, whether it's teammate like personnel change against like the front office, or if it's on the team itself, right? Last thing you want is your leadership to lose faith in your franchise quarterback in which you just gave him a huge extension.
Yes.
Right? Like, I don't think Jerry Jones wants to make that call. Right? And I know I mentioned Robert Kraft. I meant Jerry Jones about, talking to Belichick. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mike McCarthy takes an L and Jerry Jones is out here making some calls and kind of, playing the field a little bit. But, that's at the front office level, but more so on the player level. I agree with Ulner here, man. Like, Daniel Jones, I think, is not too hot when it comes to primetime at home on Thursdays, but it also goes hand in hand with how well Dak does against these teams. Okay, so when Dak does, when Dak plays quote unquote bad teams, right, teams that are typically under 500, he's 32, 14, and 2 against the spread. Okay, it's the second best of the 258 quarterbacks in the last 20 years. And do you know who he's number 2, second best? You know who's number 1? Mr. GOAT himself, Mr. Brady.
Yes.
All right? So we're talking Brady-level conversation. Dak is up there, okay? Now, at the same token, Dak is 29-11 against the spread versus NFC East, okay? In his entire career, Dak is 10-4 against the spread versus the Giants.
Yes.
Including 5-1 straight up and against the spread on the road in New York, which means that of the 14 games that he's played versus the Giants, 6 of them have been on the road in New York. Okay? Of those 6, he's not only beat them 5 times, but he's also covered the spread 5 times. He has not lost against the Giants in New York since 2016. 8 years he's not lost. Okay? So by and large, for those who have been tailing Dak Prescott's career, I can imagine Thursday's gonna be payday for you guys because the Giants are Dak's most profitable opponent. Okay? Which closes out historically on the Thursday home teams. Thursday home teams are just 38-52 against the spread. Okay? Since 2019, and more specifically in nighttime games, because you can have daytime games on Thursdays, Thanksgiving, and various things. Thursday night games, home teams are just 34-46 against the spread. So that, I mean, you have the leadership pressure, you have the Daniel Jones underwhelming historical statistic, and then you have Dak Prescott, doing amazingly well
against the bright lights.
Against the bright lights, right? But that covers the home team, away team, and the front office. But there's also one other player on the field with them, and that is the referees. I'll throw to my brother, Ulner, to talk to us about the referee stats at AIM Sports.
So, reffing on Thursday night's game is Clay Martin. Clay Martin last week reffed the Packers and Titans game.
Okay.
The Titans were favored to win that game, -2.5, I believe. And the Packers came and ran all over them. Now, if you go back to stats, Clay Martin, as true home teams, so teams that play at home, in his career, are 37, 52, and 2 against the spread.
Jeez.
Home teams are what? 37, 52, and 2. And this was before last week's game. So now you add a game on that. They're 37, 53, and 2 against the spread. Now, if you also look back at it in the past 2 Thursdays, the home team has covered the spread. This is the 3rd week, right? The 3rd week that there's a Thursday game. Or 4th week. 4th week.
4th week now.
I think all home teams have covered on the Thursday, except for Miami, I believe, which was a one-off. Because
Tua's gone. Yeah, it changes everything.
Looking to Clay Martin on a Thursday night with the Jets winning last week, I don't see the Giants covering the spread of +6. Clay Martin favors road teams. He's going to favor America's team. He's going to ride with Dak Prescott. I feel he's going to call a lot of penalties on the Giants. And we see like 37-52, 53, sorry. That percentage is ridiculous. To look at that, it looks like the Cowboys will cover. And on top of it, too, when the Cowboys do cover against the spread, they cover the spread by 9.3 points per game.
So, for those in the back, what does that math amount to?
So, you're looking at, they're favored by 6 right now. And they cover the spread plus 9 points. You're looking at 6 plus 9. That's 15 points. So, we're saying here that Clay Martin's going to favor the Cowboys, and they're winning by 15 plus, which is 2 touchdowns and more. which looks like it.
Which looks like, I mean, and it's interesting because if that's how it is, and this kind of coincides with what we're seeing with Dak, right? That not only in his last 6 games on the road in New York, he's 5-1 straight up and against the spread, which means not only has he like won against the Giants, he's demolished them.
Yeah, like you go back to 2021. January 3rd of 2021 was the last time the Giants beat them. Okay? The Giants beat them and they were at home.
Yeah.
Now you go back into there and you go back later on in December 19, 2021. The Giants were at home. Dallas won 21-6.
Yep.
Right? They covered the spread there. They won by more than 12 right there. You look at 2022 on September 26th. It was in New York. Cowboys won 23-16. They beat them. Yes, they covered the spread because they were favored by 1.
Perfect. So they got the spread by 1.
Now you go look back to September 10th of 2023. Last year was in New York. The Cowboys came in and slapped up the Giants 40-0. The Giants put up a 0 burger. Nothing.
This is in New York.
This is in New York.
There
and Dallas was favored by -3 at the time.
They ate them.
They ate them. Now you're telling me they're favored by 6 and going back into every time that Dallas has beat them? This looks like for sure money here.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Now, of course, we want to make sure there's no, like, it almost seems too good to be true.
Yes.
For sure. And it has crossed our minds because the spread has also swung with this game as well.
Yes, it has.
Vegas actually originally came out with this line at -5. That was the original line that they came out with. It has gone as low as -4. Still in Dallas' favor, but it's gone as low as -4 and has now since played in that -5.5, 6. So there definitely is that swing. But leadership pressures, Dak Prescott performance issues in terms of like playing really, really well, being in the position that he's in, and Daniel Jones not playing as well and underwhelming in the position he's played, and then the ref.
Yes.
All pillars for this game point to not only a win by the Cowboys and a cover by the Cowboys, but a potential annihilation by the Cowboys. Now, here we said it could be interesting to do a 2-touchdowner if you're feeling a little risky.
Yeah.
Cool, do it. But here at AIM Sports, based on everything we've said, Ulner and I are both calling -6.
Yes, Cowboys.
Now, -5.5 because we want the win.
Yes, exactly.
Right? We're not trying to push it.
Yeah.
We're not pushing.
We don't want no tie.
So we're calling -5.5 for Dallas.
Yes.
So lock that in. And, I mean, hey, it's going to be good football.
Yeah.
Thursday night primetime. America's team needs a redemption here.
Yeah. Get your popcorn ready.
That's it.
Which now leads us to
our Thursday night football 1-game fantasy.
Yes.
So one position.
One player.
All the way through.
Either team you pick. We pick.
And just focused just on TNF.
Yes.
So for those DraftKingers, those FanDuelers who do the daily fantasy lineups, this is going to be your bread and butter. So, Alden, let me throw it to you first, brother. Based on everything we talked about, I think you folks can already imagine who our QB is going to be, but we'll formalize it. Alden, run through the segment.
All right, so we got quarterback here at Dak Prescott. We like Dak Prescott to throw some touchdowns, throw the ball, get the offense involved, redeem himself from, that little spark he had when he was making that comeback against Baltimore that fell a little short.
Yeah.
Which leads us to running back, where Dallas allows the most yards in running. That's why Derrick Henry was so prominent and promising to get in his yards and was easy to run. We're going to take the Giants Singletary.
Yep.
Which now leads us to Dak Prescott's amazing performance supposed to happen on Thursday. We got CeeDee Lamb, who underperformed on Thursday against the Ravens.
With the drop passes.
With some drop passes. And he owned up to it. He said, hey, it's my bad. I'm going to redeem myself. What better way to redeem yourself against the New York Giants who you guys annihilate?
Yeah.
That's our wide receiver right there. Now, with the Dallas Cowboys running with Zeke and Dowdle, they're not really there. They're more of a passing team. So we're going to take Ferguson at our tight end because we think Dak's going to share the football on Thursday, which leads us to Daniel Jones not playing the best football ever.
Yep.
So you got to take the Cowboys defense.
That's it.
I also feel the Giants are not going to be keeping up with the Cowboys for them to be able to go on 4th down. They're not kicking the football. We'll give it to Dallas to get free points. We're going to take Aubrey as our kicker.
Yeah. And I mean, the kicker from the Giants is also...
Yes, we got Gano who's injured, and you have a backup who also got injured last week who's going to play this week.
Yeah.
We don't trust injuries here because we don't like injuries.
That's it.
So to recap it, we got Dak as a quarterback, Singletary as a running back, CeeDee Lamb as a wide receiver, Ferguson at tight end, the Cowboys defense, and Aubrey as our kicker.
That's it. So you heard it. That's AIM Sports Betting's Thursday night fantasy football lineup for week 4. Now, keep in mind, and Ulner, maybe we can kind of go over this, are any of these gentlemen going to be part of our actual week 4 lineup?
No. I do not believe so, no.
Nope, not at all. So you heard it here. Stay tuned for our episode on Saturday for an actual fantasy lineup that's outside of Thursday Night Fantasy. This will encompass all the games on Sunday, which our goal is to, of course, get you over that century mark.
Yes.
So tune in for that.
There we go.
But that leads us to a very interesting change up in our program that Ulner had alluded to earlier. This is the part of the show where we typically talk about Survivor. Now, you mentioned Ulner, Survivor hasn't been our friend.
Yes.
And you know what? We love you guys. We don't want you guys to lose any more money, especially for all the Survivor leagues. Buy-in is, I imagine, officially closed in your league. So, as opposed to doing another Survivor league or a Survivor pick, we're going to change it up and do an AIM Sports Betting TNF 3-leg parlay.
Yes.
And this parlay will obviously bring it over for the Saturday drop as well. This parlay will be focused just like our episode, on Thursday Night Football only.
Correct.
And this is debated, argued, and sometimes even compared against sports books between Ulner and I until we come to a consensus of our one 3-leg parlay.
Yes.
So Ulner, my brother, I'll let you do the honors.
All right.
To share our inaugural first AIM Sports Betting 3-leg parlay for Thursday Night Football. Let's go.
All right, let's get it. So 3-leg parlay. We come up with 3 picks that we like collectively, and we'll let you guys know. We like the Cowboys to cover -6. That's not part of our pick. We're talking about Dak throwing the football.
Yes.
We got Dak over 1.5 passing touchdowns, which is valued at 1.68 times your money. Now, for him to take 2 touchdowns, he has to throw the football, correct? Who is he throwing the football to? CeeDee Lamb.
Yep.
So we also going to add CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown score, which also adds up to 1.83 times your profit. Well, your bet, sorry. Which now also leads us to Dallas defense.
They have to step up.
They have to step up, which what will lead to? A Daniel Jones interception. Because Daniel Jones just forgets how to play football on primetime games, and especially against the Cowboys.
At home.
Exactly, at home. So Daniel Jones interception is 1.86 times your money. We put all 3 together. Dak Prescott over 1.5 passing touchdowns. CeeDee Lamb 1 touchdown scorer. So Dak throws it to him. And then we got Daniel Jones to throw an interception. You collect all 3 together. That is 4.25 times your wager. Which sounds like a beautiful profit to me.
It does.
A beautiful game parlay to me as well too. According to stats, according to referee, the Cowboys should go on and blow it.
I like that. So you heard it here. All into the honors, inaugural TNF 3-leg parlay, 4.25 times your units. It's a good wager. Lock it in. I know we did.
Yep.
And hey, I mean, for those who are using certain sportsbook, check if you guys got another profit boost. Hey, you never know. So you heard it here. Lock it in. You'll see it on our socials here shortly. But obviously, Ulner, you mentioned it in our 3-leg parlay. One of them is coming into our trending bet, which is CeeDee Lamb anytime touchdown at 1.83.
Which is a really good value.
That's actually solid.
Yeah, for him Lamb not scoring last week and all of a sudden scoring 1 against against the Giants. Yeah. That sounds like easy money to me.
That's it. And I mean, hey, for those who are keeping, paying attention to the odds and stuff, keep in mind, guys, this is a solid turnaround or solid return because just because having high probability doesn't necessarily guarantee, as we saw with Kamara last week.
Yes.
We called Kamara at 1.57, which is super likely, and it didn't hit. But Taylor was also 1.83, and it hit. So I mean, hey, CeeDee
1.83 is our favorite number.
That's what it is.
Find that,
Maybe we can keep it at 1.83. That'd be great.
Let's go. 2 in a row.
Slow money is good money, but hey, money nonetheless, right?
Exactly.
So that's it. You heard that here. We got the trending bet lined up. We got our Survivor switch up to our 3-leg parlay going forward.
Correct.
We have our TNF fantasy lined up, and we have our TNF call, which is our Dallas -5.5. And we're both agreeing on this one.
Correct.
Now, of course, before we let you guys go, we want to give you guys a little bit of a hint of what could be for our Saturday episode for the rest of Week 4 games.
Yes.
So we came across 6 games of interest. They're not the games of the week, but just some games that Ulner and I thought might be a little interesting as we kind of get in.
Yes.
So, Ulner, give me your first game of the week. Or first game of interest, sorry.
First game of interest, I like Philadelphia Eagles versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Good one.
It's a revenge game of last year. I believe it was divisional round playoffs, where Tampa Bay came out and ran over Philly and beat them.
Yeah.
I think Philly only scored 3 points that game. And then Tampa Bay went across. They lost the next round to Detroit.
Yeah.
But that's it. Philly's coming off a big win against the Saints. Tampa Bay came off a brutal loss against the Broncos. This is going to be an interesting matchup. That's one game of the week.
That's it. I mean, I'll hop into the game number 2, which was, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Got Buffalo, especially with the performance they had against Jacksonville on Monday. Buffalo at Baltimore. I mean, it's going to be a big game. You have 2 franchise quarterbacks, 2 solid offensives, 2 solid defenses, as we've seen.
Yes.
And this could be a potential AFC matchup. This is a conference-based matchup.
For sure.
Both teams vying for a Super Bowl. We know Ravens are 1-2, so they're looking to do a bounce back, at least to get back up to 500. And, they have to go through Josh Allen and the 3-0 Bills to do it. Will Josh Allen get that first L in the season? I don't know. But right now, it'll be interesting to see. So, close game, definitely a game of interest.
Yeah. And then another one, too, is Minnesota versus Green Bay.
Yep.
We have Jordan Love, who got injured week 1. He might be able to come back this week.
That'll be a good one.
And if he's able to come back this week, it's going to be a fun one. And then you have Minnesota with Sam Darnold, who's playing really good football. They're 3-0, I believe, in the league right now.
Yeah.
They're a top-tier team, which nobody thought they'd be 3-0. It's a big divisional game. I like it. Even if Love doesn't come back, who is it? Lewis, that's the quarterback, too? Yeah, he's...
Tampa Bay, yep.
Yeah, no, not Tampa, for Green Bay.
For Green Bay, sorry, Green Bay.
Willis. Malik Willis, who's from Tennessee. Really good game.
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch this division game, too. Division games are always fun to watch.
Exactly. Which brings us to another key game of interest for a division game, which is Mr. Trigger Figure himself, Patty Mahomes against the LA Chargers. AFC West, a 1-2 matchup, going to be a solid game. Similar to what we saw with Buffalo and Baltimore, you have the LA Chargers, who are currently 2-1, sitting second in the AFC West, going head-to-head with the 3-0 Chiefs against Patty Mahomes and company. Rashee Rice and Patty Mahomes are having some unprecedented level of chemistry that it almost makes me forget that Kelsey's even on the team, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right? I actually don't know if Kelsey's actually done anything substantial.
He hasn't, no.
All the big plays have been from Rashee Rice. And in spite of the fact that everybody knows that's what's happening, They can't stop him.
Yeah.
They can't stop him. So I think it'll be interesting to see, because I think Herbert also has been known to have breakout games.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if he comes alive during the spotlight, because it's an afternoon's window.
Yeah, he's also injured too. So let's see if he's going to play.
If he's even going to play,
yeah. Which leads us to another divisional game that we have here, which is Jacksonville and Houston. Jacksonville 0-3 against Buffalo. You have Houston here, who also lost to Mini. C.J. Stroud got humbled after wishing Caleb Williams, a good game.
Yep.
Sam Darnold came in, crushed them, veteran experience. Jacksonville needs a W. Houston is there as well, too. This is going to be a fun game. I feel if Jacksonville loses the game, Doug Peterson's out. Fired. Everything changes there. So this is a really big game.
Especially against a Houston team that is very, injured right now.
Injured, yes, because they were losing two running backs and third string wide receiver.
Yeah, so was it Tank Dell was gone?
Tank Dell got injured, didn't practice. Joe Mixon, and then you have Pierce as well too.
Yeah, so now if they take an L against Houston like that, Jacksonville's
done.
Yeah, I agree. Which brings us to our last game of interest, which is another key divisional matchup at the NFC South. Another 1-3 game. So you have the very surprising, but I really appreciative, New Orleans Saints that are currently 2-1 after coming off that tough loss against the Eagles last week, going against the 1-2 Falcons. So I think both Kirk Cousins and Carr have a lot to prove. Kamara obviously is questionable right now. Hopefully he can shake it off. He was on the injury report to kind of not play on practices. Still be kind of interesting to see what happens. But I think it's going to be a head-to-head matchup. Right? And I think right now Falcons are 0-2 at home. Saints are 1-0 on the road. But it's divisional importance that plays a role.
For sure.
If Saints can solidify that, saying, hey, we're the kingpins of this division, you got to get through us. A lot of these teams we're gonna start to see, their
true colors.
If they can really play.
Are they made for the Super Bowl, or are they just pretenders or contenders?
Contenders, that's what it is. So that brings us to the end of the games of interest. We don't know what the games of the weeks are for Week 4 just yet, but tune in on Saturday for that. I think apart from that, I think you heard it here. You have us locked and loaded for TNF tomorrow.
Yep.
Kickoff is 8:15 Eastern Standard Time.
That is correct.
It's going to be a big game with a lot riding, particularly for the Cowboys.
Yeah, a lot
Across
for
the board.
a lot to prove for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So they better bring their A game, better show out on the road, because if they don't, we're gonna see some
major changes.
some business moves.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
A lot of business moves.
But, I mean, hey, ladies and gentlemen, that's it.
That's it from AIM Sports Betting. Enjoy Thursday Night Football. Get yourself some popcorn.
It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, get your 3-leg parlay ready. Hopefully that hits as well too. Hopefully you guys ride with us with the Cowboys -5.5. And from AIM Betting Sports, my brother, let them know.
Yo, have fun, bet what you can lose, and have a good time. We'll see you guys all on Saturday for our second episode of the week. Apart from that, have fun.
Yeah, peace.
Peace.